Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Estancia Lapacho for the final time this week actually. And just bringing in the trailer load of barley, or the part trailer load of barley that we had left up in the field. The other Stara that was on the Crone rake, that one is back here in the yard as well. So at the moment the only vehicles that we've got out of the yard are the two pickup trucks that we've got. So we're still sort of deciding on which one of those we're going to keep. And then we've got a couple of others that are working in the field. We've got the Stara tractors working in field, and we've got the MAN TGS up there with the seed tender on it as well. My question for this week is this area right here where we started to put all of our machinery. We're going to be storing our machinery here. Now, one thing that we do, actually I don't remember, does it reset to here or does it reset to the shop? Anyway, at the moment, my weekly question is, what do you want me to do with this area? Do you want me to leave it as grass, just like this, just as it is? Do you want me to plough it up and then cultivate it so that we've got kind of a hard-packed dirt surface here? Do you want me to do that and then add some sheds in? Do you want me to get the ground modification mod and concrete the area over? Or do you want me to concrete the area over and put some sheds down as well? It's your vote, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below, let us know which one you want and why, and of course don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. Now, there is one small thing that I want to do before I go and get anything else, and that is, I want to test where we reset machinery to. I'm going to test it with this one here, I think, so let me just jump out of that one a second. And I'm not actually sure about this, because we may want the reset point, and it also is going to affect where we can build sheds as well. So if I go to you, actually we'll just do it with this Massey Ferguson. It's got a weight on the front, but it should be okay, I think. Actually, no, we won't. We'll do it with the Merlot. The Merlot will be easier. It's just going to be less hassle if we just use the Merlot. There we go. So we go to that one, and if I go reset, do you really want to reset? Yes, I do. Okay, it has been reset, and it's definitely not down to the shop. So let's go to that one, and we'll enter. Oh, it is down to the shop. Right, so the reset point being down here does mean that it's not going to interfere with where we want to build some sheds. It also means I've now got to drive this one all the way back to the farm, which is a little bit of a hassle. It'll be okay. So we'll drive this one back to the farm, and then we can go and quickly take a look at our two pickups. We've got those two up there. Actually, just get this back to the farm a second. Right, back to the farm with that one, and I'm just going to stop that one there. I'm not going to worry about going any further, hitching it up or anything like that. And our tractor is doing an excellent job of planting. It's not going to run out for a little while. So yeah, the other thing that I've got a couple of questions I want you answering in the comment section this week. One of them is, do we get rid of the ground response modification? It seems to be excessively bouncy. So I'm thinking that we should get rid of that one. We are running this series without the crop destruction mod because so many of you said that it's not particularly realistic running that mod anyway because it does too much destruction. You lose too much crop with it. So for this series, we're not going to run it, and we're going to try to do things as realistically as possible, but we will allow ourselves, sort of like when we're doing the sugarcane harvesting, it'll allow some of the vehicles to drive on the crop where otherwise they wouldn't. But, you know, we know which bits are being realistic, and we know which bits we kind of got to overlook for the sake of keeping things moving forward. So we've got these two vehicles here. This one right here was our barn find. That was our random event for the week. We got a barn find. Well, technically it's a barn find, but I mean, really, we found it in the undergrowth, just in there, just buried. It was completely buried underneath all of those bushes and everything. We completely missed it, and I nearly drove into it last week, or the end of last week, and then the beginning of this week, I thought, well, I'd show you that I nearly drove into this one. So we have found this vehicle right here. Now, the random event states on the list, if you look on the Facebook page, you'll be able to see it, that when we get a barn find, which is essentially the smallest pickup available in the game, and then we must immediately sell it to the shop. But I quite like the look of this thing. I do. I like the red and the yellow. It seems to be a nice combination. This is our standard pickup here, and you can see we've also got some different wheels on it as well. And I'm thinking that maybe the barn find would be the one that we keep, and we get rid of this one instead. I'm a little curious why neither of these vehicles have number plates. I'm not entirely sure that that is legal. But we're going to gloss over that bit. We'll just pretend that we are running a fully legitimate operation down here, and there is nothing illegitimate about anything that we do. So we will gloss over that bit. But anyway, yeah, so our unregistered 2 vehicles here, which one should we sell? I want you to get into the comment section and talk about that one today, as well as the ground modification. Not the ground modification, the ground response mod, the one that's making it bounce up and down like crazy. There, like that. See what I mean? I don't think that is overly realistic, to be fair. Right, anyway, what we want to do next is we want to go to our John Deere. Let me go back over to here, and we'll jump out, and we'll do it like this. So we want to go to our John Deere tractor here. I was originally thinking that we were going to use the Stara, but now I'm thinking the John Deere would actually be a better fit for this particular task, because we're using a John Deere baler. So we're going to drive this one down to the shop, and we are going to buy ourselves a John Deere baler. I was going to say new, but it's not new. It's a second-hand baler. And it's one that we're going to use to start with. Now, I appreciate that in this game we don't actually have vehicles breaking down. And if the buy price of the vehicle is low, we're not going to get much in the way of a maintenance cost either. So, we're not really going to have that issue. But I would like to upgrade it later on in the series to a newer John Deere baler. Just because I think it would actually be pretty cool to, you know, it will say that we're having to upgrade these things as we go along. When we can afford it and so on, and just because I think that's more realistic, because using an old second-hand baler does tend to cause a few problems. Trust me, I speak from experience on this. It can be an absolute nightmare. So we'll run over and we'll get this one. We're not going to start using it right now, though if you have a look at the time, you'll see that it is 10 to 6 in the evening. It's a little bit late to get started on the baling. I mean, technically we could, but we're close to the equator here. We're not very far from the equator. I don't know exactly where we are. It's not been precisely specified. But when you're close to the equator, it does tend to start getting dark between like 6 and 7. And I used to live almost on the equator. I lived there for several years, and it's one thing that you always had. It's very different here in the UK. Because the temperature changes and you get different times when it's getting dark. There in New Guinea, where I lived, let me just buy that one there, it started to get dark at around about 5:30. So when it started to get dark, I think it was about 5:30, something like that. Anyway, but yes, so it started to get dark at like 5:30, and so as a rule, my mother would start cooking tea as soon as it started to get dark. That was kind of the indication that it was time to start cooking tea. And so then we moved back to this country, and that kind of threw it all out the window. You had to rely on the clock a lot more rather than anything else, because, you know, different ways that it does things. Now, obviously, some meals are going to take a bit longer, and so that's not an exact science, but you know, basically, when it got dark was when we were just sitting down to our evening meal, which was about 6 p.m. And that would be when it was, you know, it's just, you know, properly starting to get dark at that point. And then I can't remember how long dusk lasted, but it was, I do remember hearing, it's because it was my childhood, and it was a very long time ago, so I do remember people remarking, talking about the difference between here in the UK and there in New Guinea. And here in the UK, especially in the summer, dusk is a very long, drawn-out process. You can have, from when it starts to get dark until it's fully night, it can be like 3 or 4 hours. You sort of have this semi-twilight zone for hours and hours and hours. Whereas in New Guinea, it was fairly quick. It was like the whole process took under an hour. I think as little as like 45 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, and then boom, it was dark, and just like that. And it was different. It was very different coming back to this country and then going back to long seasons. You know, so sometimes you got lots of daylight, and sometimes it's a lot less, and it would make a significant difference. So we are assuming with this map that we are somewhere close to the tropics. So we're not going to have long drawn-out evenings. We're going to assume that our evenings are going to be fairly short. Well, I say fairly short. Our evenings are going to be, the twilight period is going to be fairly short. So it's not going to be a long, drawn-out twilight period. Where were we when we started? I'm not sure, but we're gonna use this room here, I think, today. Let's shut the door. I mean, it is a little bit early for going to bed just yet, so we're going to come out here. and going to just sort of watch. Where can we watch? I want to find the best place to stand to kind of admire the sunset. Can we do it out this side? If I come out here, what's through? Oh, this is the bathroom in here. We could stand in the bathroom and admire the sunset, but it doesn't have quite the same ring to it, does it? Standing in the bathroom to admire a sunset. Nope. I don't want to do it from there either. It's very difficult to find the right place for this. It really is. So let's come down over here, and we'll just kind of balance out there. No, that's where I want to be looking, is out over that way, is where the sunshine actually is. Oh, I know. We'll come out here. And we'll go out onto the front balcony out here. There we go. That's where the sun is going to set, isn't it? Over that way over there, well, I think. It's probably going to end up not being in that direction at all. But this is the direction that we are going to stand, and we're going to admire the sunshine. Another beautiful morning here in Estancia Lapacho as the sun comes up over the hills. Very nice. Very, very nice. Right, let me just close up this, and... Has that got a... No, that's not actually a doorway that we can open and close. And we're going to come out here. Yeah, we're gonna head back down the way that we came in, actually. We're going to go this way here. So I'll go through into there and close that door, and then this way, and we can run down the stairs and we can go and get started. So if we race down here... Oh, let's not forget to have some breakfast. Oh, no, we don't want to have breakfast in there, do we? We want to go through to this side of the house. It's a huge house, this place. It really is. Absolutely massive. So we'll turn the radio on. Popular artist, popular song. Okay, brilliant. And we'll have a little bit of breakfast as well. There we go. And right, that's all that taken care of. Let's go and get started with the day. I am deliberately keeping the time on 120 for a minute, purely because in a minute it's going to go all cloudy. It's saying cloudy right now, so I wanted to actually flick to that, get through that bit before I go any further. This one has not quite finished doing the field, even though it's grown and moved on a little bit. Right, it's gone to 9 o'clock and it's still not gotten cloudy. Right, this is a direct drill, so I'm kind of worried about this now, whether it's going to actually do this correctly, because we've got part of the field already planted. So we'll stop that one there a minute. And it's still not got the... It's not reached cloudy. It normally, if it says changes it over fairly early, it will do it fairly early in the day. It's not going to today, alright. So we'll bring this one on down. So we've got these two fields here are partly grown, and I've got some more fields up in the top. I'm going to do those other fields up the top with beans as well. And then we need to get a vehicle, well, not a vehicle, we need to get a planter that will then cope with the corn that we want to plant. We've got to plant a lot of corn, so I'm just going to put the spout out on there. I'm also going to unfold this one as well, because I want it to start tipping up. We're getting low on both seed and fertilizer in here, which means that it needs to be able to tip up like that. It tips right up, and then it will tip the seed and fertilizer to the back of the machine, and it will work properly. So I'll bring that in there. So there's the fertilizer, and then you press K, and that switches it over, and it will do the seed, and then that is done. So you're gonna, yeah, I'll lower it back down again, and I will fold the spout up as well. So if I just move this one along over here, that one can stop there and finish folding up, and then we can go and watch this one. Well, I just want to make sure that it turns properly at the end of the field. That's my main concern here, is that it's going to do that. So if I start it there, is it going to... I don't know if this is direct drill or is it not. Right, it doesn't actually seem to be planting over the corn that's there already, or the soybeans rather. I'm not sure if this star here is actually a direct drill. I know the bigger one is, but I don't know about this one. Let's just check that a minute. Manure spreaders, fertilizer. I'm probably looking right at it again. I keep doing this. Cultivate is right there above the fertilizer spreaders. Right, through here, through those, through the coon, through the... There we go. Right, so you here... this machine is a direct drill, and it will do those select few there. This one also does those select few. 14.4 meters. We're going to want a bigger tractor on this one. It's a 420 horsepower requirement to run that bad boy there. So we need something to plant the row crops. Now, we could go really big like that. It's a 320 horsepower requirement. That one there, the Kuhn planter there, is a 100 horsepower requirement. It's a very small tank, though. And we're going to be wanting to plant a lot of ground with whatever one that we get. So I'm actually thinking that the Vadestad one here, 2,260 litres on board, 6 metre spread, it requires 140 horsepower. I think that one would actually fit our farm fairly well. So that's the one that I would like to get once we finish doing this bit. We're going to right, that one is going in the right direction, so we don't need to worry about that one anymore. So all I want to do now is go through and get this one right here, and let's get started with the baling. I didn't need to fast forward time. I could have just left it at 8 o'clock, and we'd have had a couple of hours of good clear sunlight. I will actually fast forward it through any inclement weather whatsoever, even a little tiny bit bad, purely because it interferes with the lighting, and so the video ends up not being quite so good. So we'll unfold that one there. You see the second bit on the back of the baler? It starts to fold up. That second bit there. When you're baling and you're moving from field to field, if you have the double extension on the back, a lot of old balers, that double extension no longer exists. You've only got one extension. And the simple reason is, when you're baling and you've got a bale stuck partway out of the baler, and then you need to move to the next field, you don't want the hassle of trying to get the bale out. It's quite difficult in old balers to get bales out, and so you don't worry about it, you just tend to leave it. And if you've got the double extension, you stick just the back piece up, and you don't worry about the big piece. You just stick that little back piece up so that it just kind of does... it's going to do it? No, it's not going to do it because I've got it on. There. It just does that, so that the small piece at the back folds up. And so you hook that one up, not worrying about the main section. And then you get to the next field, and you get slightly distracted for whatever reason, and you forget to jump out because you think, oh no, the bale's already there, and you just start baling. And you forget about the small piece on the back, and you bale it off the back of the baler. I went to work for a contractor, and he had 5 old balers. They were old class quadrant balers. They were all 1200s. He had 5 class 1200 balers, and they're all lined up. 4 of them had the piece baled off the back. 1 of them still had the piece on the back, and you know, that was absolutely great. So we tended to just have whatever baler was available at the time, and whatever job was available at the time. So I was doing a job, and I needed to work quite late, and so it had got to about midnight, and I wasn't concentrating properly. I folded up the small bit on the back, and then moved to the new field, and carried right on through, and baled it off the back. He was most upset with me. I did point out that the other 4 balers already had their pieces baled off the back, so I was only like matching them up, but yeah, he didn't really see that argument at all. He was really, really annoyed with me. Very, very angry. I got shouted at a lot for that one. So yeah, I baled the small piece off the back of a quadrant 1200 baler. I wouldn't recommend doing it if you're not the one that owns the baler, because I mean, it didn't actually do any major structural damage. So there was no, like, nothing had gone seriously wrong with it or anything like that. But at the same time, it wasn't ideal. It wasn't something that I would recommend doing, because the bloke, he got dreadfully upset about it. He really did. He very upset. I mean, understandable, really. I had just destroyed a machine of his. I mean, I'm not saying it was a new machine or anything, but it was still his, and it was still something that was there to earn him money, and so quite rightly so, he got upset with me. I'll never forget that. I baled that small piece off the back. And, yeah, I did get into a spot of bother about that. I wonder, though, can we do that with the baler here? If we bring that one up through, I'm just going to let that first bale fall off there. There we go. That's now fallen off. So if I come forward a little bit and then stop right there, if I stop the baler, will it fold up? No. It won't let me do it. That's a shame. I would have liked to have been able to do that. That would have been pretty cool. Never mind. We won't worry about it. It would, I just think it would be, obviously it wouldn't simulate the baling of the piece off the back. It'd probably just like push it through, so you'd have it like visually pushing through that piece rather than doing anything else. But it still would have been pretty cool to be able to fold it up. So we've got this field here that we need to bale, and then we've got one more field, well, it's two fields over the other end that we want to bale up as well, and that is going to be providing loads and loads of straw. That'll probably be most of the straw that our cows are going to need for quite some time to come now. I can't see that they're going to need very much more straw than this for most of this series. So we're going to do this baling. I'm going to do some more baling at the beginning of next week. I'm going to sort of do most of the baling with you, and then much later in the series we'll end up doing some more baling, and at that point I am hoping that we'll be able to upgrade the John Deere baler to a newer one, just because, you know, I'd like to, and then you'll be able to see some different mods, which would be pretty cool, because we've already seen this John Deere. We have already used this one. We will be getting a pressure washer in this series because I would like to keep everything neat and tidy and clean. We don't always use pressure washers. I don't think we actually used one at all in Gorala, but this series we will use a pressure washer, and we will keep everything shiny and clean so that yeah, we can still see the actual paintwork and that, because this John Deere is getting pretty grim at the moment. It's getting pretty filthy. Come racing up through here. This one field here isn't going to take us very long to do at all, actually. I need to just spin around so that I can just see the top. This is the one little bit that got a little bit messy with the rake. Overall, it didn't do too bad a job. The planter has just finished. So we've got 2 fields done at the moment with the planter, and well, I got all of that straw. Let me just grab the rest of this, but we got these little bits here everywhere, haven't we? So I'm just going to bring this one back round, and I've got one bit there. I want to do that bit there, and then I want to go round in a loop. It's not ideal turning the tractor as sharp as I am, really. You do, when you're actually running the machine, you do want to avoid sharp turns, because it puts a lot of unnecessary strain on the PTO, which is the, for those of you who don't know what the PTO is, power takeoff shaft. The PTO shaft is the power takeoff shaft. It literally does exactly what it says. It takes the power off of the tractor and puts it into the machine behind. The way it does that is that's actually spinning around. Now this baler here, that is probably spinning at around 1200 revolutions a minute. You have a 21 spline shaft that goes onto the back of the tractor and spins at 1200 revolutions. I think it's 1200. You know, I don't actually, I'm pretty sure it's 12, but it's been so long that I can't actually remember. And then you've got a, want to say an 8 spline shaft, which is a smaller one. It's a similar size, but it's an 8 spline rather than a 21 spline. Basically, you take the shaft out the back of the tractor, you flip it over, you put it back in again, and then it will run the different one. Or some tractors have 2 separate ones. Different ones do it in different ways. And the 8 spline shaft, that runs at, it might even be a 6 spline shaft, now that I think about it. But anyway, that one runs at 540 revolutions per minute. So a big baler like this was very unlikely to be running at 540. Most of them will run at 1200 revolutions a minute. It might be 1100. So yeah, correct me in the comment section. Many of you are actual farmers now, rather than just used to be farmers like me, so you'll probably remember more accurately the actual numbers that matter on this. So is it 1100 or is it 1200? I honestly can't remember at the moment. But anyway, that's what takes the power from the tractor into the machine behind it. So a 540, like a small muck spreader or something like that, there's almost definitely have a 540. Small balers, that would be a 540. And then a big baler, that would be a 1100, a 1200, whichever one it is. I honestly can't remember. This is gonna really bug me now. I'm gonna have to go and look it up in a minute. Those there will. So it does depend on the machine itself, and it's not just new and old machines. The faster 21 spline shaft has been around for quite a while, and so you do get quite a few machines that do run on that. And you also get brand new machines now that will run on 540. It's just whatever is needed for that particular machine. And some machines run better with a faster RPM input. And that's all it is. It's just down to whatever runs best for the machine. So I'm just going to stop that one right there a minute. But you're going to switch everything off on there. And I'm going to very quick. That one is done. I am going to skip through to this one. And we are going to go to our next field. So we've got the plan There's my timer going off. We are running very near the end of the episode now. We've got those 2 fields done there, and I want to plant these 3 here with beans as well. So we've got that area there with beans. These 2 fields we're going to join together. We're probably going to start that next week. And I'm going to plant those 2 with corn, and I may even include field 14 into the loop as well. So we might upgrade our plow, make it a bit bigger, although I'm not sure, because most of the plowing is just going to be done with deep cultivating rather than actual plow, so it might not be necessary to upgrade it. So that there will be corn, a huge area of corn down there, and then these fields here, I'm thinking that that one was going to be joined together, and I was considering doing that with corn up there, I think I said previously. Now I'm actually thinking that we won't join them together at the moment. We'll run these as separate fields, and we'll do those there as different crops, and then a huge field of corn down there, and then these fields up here with beans. So that we've got a lot of soybeans, and we've got a lot of corn, which are the 2 primary crops grown and exported in South America, so I've been told by some South American viewers, and that in itself I think is just brilliant. I love the fact that I've got people from just about every country on the planet watching these videos. That is just amazing. So hello to anybody watching in South America. I have paid attention to what either you or your I was going to say countrymen, but it's not countrymen at all, because it could be a completely different country. But I've paid attention to what people from your continent have been telling me, put it that way. And, yeah, soybeans and... so beans and corn are your main exports. So that is what is going to be our main crops here in these fields. So we'll do beans here and the other 2 small ones up there, and then we can worry about other things later. So I just want to come back through here. The cultivator has just finished. There. You're all done. Excellent. Why has he come all the way up here before stopping? We're running low on... oh, I see. It's not actually complete. There is a tiny little strip. I can see the strip up there. So I'm going to have to just manually do this a little bit myself. I think that once we get a little bit further up, we'll actually see it. But yes, we do need to do a little bit more cultivating still. We've got the big field down the bottom, and I don't want to cultivate that one yet because I want to do the ploughing around the edges, and then we'll cultivate the whole lot in together. So I'm actually thinking that we'll go to that little field over there and we'll do that one. And then we've got the fields that we've done the baling on as soon as we finish this strip. Going to run this one this way round, purely because then it's not going to get in the way of us with our baling, should we have any issues. So everything else seems to be running just fine. Go back to this one. My question for this week is down there where we got our machinery store area, how would you like me to have all of the area sort of set up for doing machinery? Do you want me to leave it as just grass? Do you want me to do hard packed dirt? Do you want it hard packed dirt with sheds? Do you want it to be concreted, or do you want it to be concrete and sheds together? Is your vote. It's your game. Head into the comment section down below. Let us know which one you want and why. And of course, don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right-hand corner. So we've got these 2 fields here, which shouldn't actually take all that long to get baled. And then once they're done, we're going to start gathering them up. So as we're going to be gathering bales next week, I would like you to tell me in the comment section how you want me to do it. Do you think we should get an Artisan trailer, the Artisan auto stacker machine, and do it with the machine and then just stack them up down there? Or do you want me to do it with the auto load trailer? We'll use the truck and we'll use the auto load trailer and we'll do it like that, and we'll just say that we have someone in the field with a front loader or using the Merlot or something and loading them onto the vehicle. I don't want to manually load them this time. We've done a lot of manual loading. I did quite a lot of it in Garala, and a lot of you do find that to be a little bit dull after a while. And because we've done so much in the last playthrough, I'm not planning to do very much in the way of manual loading in this playthrough. We'll stick to using the auto load trailers, and then that means that we can get the job done pretty quick, and then we can move on to doing other things as well. So, do you think I should use the Artisan stacker, buy one of those and use it? It costs us $70,000 if we're going to buy it. Or do you just want me to use the auto-load trailer? We'll get the one with the truck. I mean, we could go and get one on the back of a tractor, a Joskin trailer, and do it like that. But I'm actually thinking it would be better if we use the one on the truck. because the fields are fairly flat, so it definitely wouldn't be unrealistic to bring the truck into the field, as, you know, it's kind of what you would use. That's a good situation where you would be using it, and as I understand it, it's fairly common to use a truck in a field in South America. I know it's not very common to use lorries in fields here in the UK, but we're not in the UK. We are in South America, so when in Rome, you do as the Romans do. And so as we're in South America, we'll do as the South Americans do. And yeah, so we can definitely use the trailer, but would you actually use this? This is something that I'm curious about now. Is something like this common in South America? It's becoming more and more common in the UK. It's still not, I mean, it's still like certain places. It tends to be big contractors that will fork out the money for one of those, because it is quite an expensive machine. However, it is becoming more popular because you don't have to like double or treble handle the bales by picking them up, putting them onto a trailer, take them off the trailer, build them into a stack, so on and so forth. You just load it up with this one, back it up, and it builds a stack for you as well. Does the whole lot all in one go. So it is a very, very versatile machine, and it does save a lot of handling of the bales. Is it common to see something like that in South America? That's what I would like to know. So let me know in the comment section about that one, and also obviously which one you want me to use. And I will take a look at it before next week, and then we can see what we're going to do. If you enjoyed this episode, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. But until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.